Day Text with Greg Stafford, where we meet every weekday morning at 5 a.m. to consider a portion of the biblical record or other related histories, sources of ancient knowledge and wisdom that we can benefit from, used throughout our day, and that's why we call them day texts. But as I've mentioned, we have people from all around the world, as you can see in the chat as well, who may be ending their day, and so it's not just a day text, it's also an evening text or a life text. Whatever way you can use the text best, that's what kind of text it is. But I will start out with it as a day text, and then from there you can apply it however you wish. I will do the same depending on what I encounter throughout my daily day and life. So I find it beneficial for us to meet together like this. I know others do as well. And so if you would like to join us regularly, remember it's 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, weekdays, Monday through Friday. We don't do weekends. On Saturday, we do a different type of show, what we call CW Jaw Talk. And then occasionally we do a pre-recorded great message. Sundays, we don't really do any video broadcasts unless they're scheduled. So that's a brief rundown of how we do our videos on the CW Jaw Tube channel. All right, we're working our way through the New Testament, and we're in the letter to Titus. In the first video on Titus that I did, I believe it was yesterday, you can listen to it if you want a little bit more information about the historical context of the letter of Titus, as well as some details on its textual transmission. Okay, so we're in the second chapter of Titus, and I'm going to read, I read verse 1 as part of yesterday's day text grouping. So today I'm going to read verses 2 through 6. Good morning to everyone. Sorry, I didn't say that yet. And so we'll read chapter 2 of Titus, verses 2 through 6. Then we'll make a brief application, and we'll be on our way. All right, Titus chapter 2, verses 2 through 6 reads, and you can read that I've embedded the text in the description of the live chat, so if you want to follow along, if you don't have the Great Message translation that I'm reading from, you can look down into the description field and follow along. Okay, Titus 2, 2 through 6. He says, he's talking to Titus, and he's teaching Titus and other Christians at that time about how they can conduct themselves with each other and be most effective in their Christian ministry. And so he says, older men are to be free of wine, or sober, respectable, cautious, healthy with faith, with love, and with strong endurance. Similarly, older women are to be deeply respectful, or you could translate that as reverent, in how they act, not false accusers or devils. They are not to act like they have become enslaved to wine. Older women are to be teachers of what is good. This way they may train younger women how to love men, how to love children, how to be cautious or discreet, without blame, workers at home, kind, being submissive to their own husbands, so the message of God is not disrespected or blasphemed. You could translate that word. In the same way, verse 6, you must urge younger men to be cautious. All right, so let's go back to the older men. You notice he talks about the younger men and the older men as both needing to be cautious. Of course, we all need to be cautious as serpents, as Jesus said, innocent as doves. But he mentions that twice here as kind of a bookend for both the older men and the young men in our day text. And then he gives additional advice for the older men, the first of which is to be free of wine, right? Alcohol's not good for you. Every now and then, occasionally I'll have a beer, maybe a glass of wine, but it's very rare. I just don't enjoy it very much. And, if you drink too much, you just, you don't really have the kind of senses that I think we want most of the time. So I don't drink much, but you can overdrink and it can become a problem for you, just like anything that you do in excess. So be cautious, like he says here. Watch out for alcohol or anything else that would destabilize you if done in excess. Each of us has to make our own decisions, but it's good to be cautious. And then he goes on to talk about older women being deeply respectful, not false accusers, also not to become enslaved to wine. Wine is bad for you as you get older. A little bit here and there, but if you're regularly drinking or a lot of wine, that's going to deplete you and take far too much away from your body. So be cautious. But notice it says at the end of verse 3, older women are to be teachers of what is good. So women are to be teachers, but then you're not to run around trying to instruct men who are taking the lead unless they're doing something you can obviously see is a mistake. Then you approach that man and you say, hey, I want to talk to you about something that I noticed. You do it respectfully. And you are supposed to focus, women, on younger women to help them. Women today, younger women especially, are in dire need of assistance. Many of them have mothers who have no idea what they're doing, or who have never had a man and who don't want a man around their daughters because they want to train them to be like them, a woman who never has a man and who's constantly out doing things with other men, not teaching younger women how to love men, but teaching them how to deceive them, how to steal from them, how to take advantage of them. This is what a lot of women do. They use their sexuality or their other ways. Men do it too, but I'm talking about women right now in relation to this text. You can either be teachers of what is good, or you can spend your whole life enslaved to wine, chasing after different men or women, whatever you end up preferring. Or you can be teachers of what is good. You can be sober, and you can help younger women who are growing up in this world where they're promoting all kinds of things that are damaging to people physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. The world needs some good older women to step up and help these younger women see what's going on, to warn them about the dangers of some of the things that people are promoting today, the lifestyles that are destructive, show no love to men or to children. The way that they have women today acting towards children is despicable. The way that the way they treat children and promote child entertainment today with these demonic cartoons, horribly themed shows, and series that I'm not even going to mention some of them, but you know what I'm talking about. The television and the programming today is a catastrophe. I mean, it's just filled with some of the worst stuff you could think of or possibly be interested in. And it does nothing. It does nothing but degrade humanity. It degrades women, it degrades men, and it damages children. You see things like Hollywood or these shows or news channel, anything you see or witness degrading humans, you immediately cut that off. You immediately get away from whatever programming that is, whatever show it is, whatever movie it is, whoever. If they are degrading men, degrading women, and damaging children, what are you doing? Why would you watch or give your time to anything that in any way does those things? I don't care if it's a song, a movie, a book, whatever. You decide. But I'm telling you right now, if you help promote this garbage, the stuff that's teaching women how to be men and men how to be women and children so they don't know who the heck they are, you're going to suffer the same fate. Times 2, because you like it so much. So I damaging women. And if you don't stop damaging children, there's a text you need to read where Jesus says you would be better off tying a giant stone around your neck. All of these forms of entertainment. I mean, again, you do what you want. I'm giving you my advice, but I'm telling you right now, if you're not able to train younger women how to love men or how to love children, and if older men, you give your life to wine and you do not proclaim the great message, and if you younger men are not cautious, you're going to end up in a situation where you're surrounded by people who are openly blaspheming God, and you're not going to be able to do anything else but join them. So And let me get back to women here for a minute because the text does focus a bit on them. If you look at verse 5, it talks about being workers at home. I mean, the world has made that a joke today. And yet, what is more important than your home? Exactly what is it that you go out to work for if not your home, where you live, where your personal possessions are, where your children grow, where your pets are? Exactly what is more important than your home? Isn't that what you're out working for? To keep and to maintain? Yet you'll have women today who will act like if they're not out working full time along with their man, that somehow there's an inequality. And yet if you're both out working full time, exactly who's going to take care of the very thing you're working to pay for? You can't. You're not going to be able to have the energy and strength, or even if you do for a while, eventually you're going to burn out. It's not how it was designed for us to live, with both of us chasing after a career to make money and no one at the house taking care of the thing we're making the money for. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and you both just end up burned out, frustrated, and it's no wonder that the divorce rate is so high. People are not living according to a proper lifestyle that lends itself to a long-term marriage because they're competing with each other. You're not supposed to be competing with each other. But that's what the world has made us do. We're made to complement each other. So again, they take the opposite. Men and women are designed to complement. Let's make them compete. Men are designed to love women. Let's make men love men. Women are designed to love men. Let's make them love women. Oh, men and women are supposed to raise good children and make them healthy and happy. Let's destroy the family. That's what they're doing. And if you're not cautious, you are going to help them by promoting this same disgusting material that they promote if you don't resist it and get away from it and stop approving anything that damages the family, degrades women, men, or children. And you women are very much under assault today because they feel that they can make you compete with men who have taken the lead in things like working and protecting the family. They think they can make you want to compete with us in those ways, and so that we end up loving no one. You cannot love someone you're competing with. How are you going to do that? Doesn't work. You're going to try to beat them and compete with them and win. That's not love. So if you're competing with your man, you're not showing love. You need to change that. And if your man is, it's not really, we're going to get to men and others in later texts. This is more dealing specifically with older men, younger women, older women, and younger men. So it kind of covers everything, but not in the ministerial aspects that other texts do. Here we're talking more about home and what we need to do in our communities and teaching younger women. But it's very important that women understand how they're made and men understand how they're made, and that we act according to our roles. If we don't do that, you're not going to have anyone at home taking care of the home, and you're both going to be out giving your lives to other people versus to each other. Right? So if you could have a situation where you're both spending most of your time apart with other people at another place versus together and in your own home. Whereas if you have a plan and you have a structure where one of you works, maybe it's the woman sometimes, it's not always the man, but one of in a partnership, in a family unit, I've never seen a situation where unless one of them works out of the home, both persons can go work full time, give all their energy and power to these jobs, come home and have a fulfilling life. Not continuously. I've never seen that. Some people can endure for a while and you just make it work and you're just rushing around. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being at peace, having a loving household where there's little or no stress because people understand their role, people accept their role, and people appreciate their role. There's nothing wrong with any of these traditional roles. In fact, there's everything right with them. What's wrong is with the world and the people in it trying to change the way that we work together best for their own selfish pleasure, so they can destroy the family, have more people out there working, make more tax money, whatever. To the people that run this world, they don't care about anything but themselves. That's it. Themselves, their power, and their money. That's it. They're not interested in building strong communities and families. Some are, but not overall. If they were, their priorities would be much different. They wouldn't be so focused on military pursuits. They would be focused on domestic issues and how they could properly build up their nations so that they're not so weak and exposed and to threats of war. But, I realize that there are military issues in the world that need attention. But by and large, far too much of our time and resource goes to things like that versus things like building up the family and helping people to work together according to the way we were made. So I wanted to spend a little more time just going over that, because I hear so often, especially with women, how, being a stay-at-home mom or taking care of the house is somehow, they've demeaned that role. The world has kind of made it seem like that's like not good. And if you look at some of these women who are out there working, they're not really doing anything but helping some other company versus their own household and family. And you might say the man is doing that too. That's true. But if you're both doing it, if you're both giving all your energy and time for work to another company or group, I don't see how either one of you is going to be able to give the other what they need when you do come home together. So it may be possible people have to do what they have to do, but it's very important to keep in mind the basic things of life. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up in all of these things that the world is presenting, and you're not going to realize that the most important things are what you've had your whole life, your family, the people around you, and that the things that you've learned from them are what you're going to need the most, unless, of course, you've been in a family that has not properly taught you. And that is one of the problems we have today. We have a lot of women, single moms. They think that's somehow a good thing. It's not. It's a terrible thing. It means that you failed to give your child a proper family. Whether it was the original father or somebody else, if you've gone your whole life as a single mom or single dad raising a child and you haven't given that child a proper family, you've damaged that child. I'm not saying that, I'm talking about if you've avoided the opportunities you've had to give your children a family, and you refused to do that because you wanted to selfishly raise your children on your own, you're a bad parent. I'm sorry. You did not learn how to properly parent. Now, maybe you got through it, and I hope you didn't damage your child too much. But you single parents out there who are refusing to give your children a proper family, you're putting yourselves above your children. You're putting yourself above your children, first by having the child without a man or a woman around. Shouldn't be doing that. It shows you didn't properly plan for having the child. And if you didn't properly plan and you found out you have a child, then you need to get involved and take care of that child. But, again, there are people today who will use children as weapons. So you may have a single mom who has a child, and the dad may want to be with that child, but the single mom not only doesn't have the dad around to help raise the child, she won't even let the father come and visit the child. So we have a lot of terrible mothers today, a lot of terrible fathers too. But again, I'm focusing a little bit more on women today because the text does. And the problem with women today is they're misled so easily by what people tell them. They tell them, oh yeah, run out there and go get a job, and you don't need to deal with that man and this and that. And then what do they end up doing? They end up giving their whole life to a job and going out and looking for a man. Unless they become lesbian and they find a woman. But that's not how they're made either, so they end up unhappy, in my experience. So there's no other way, is what I'm getting at. You can't out-choose the choices. There's this choice and there's that choice. This choice has that consequence. This choice has that consequence. And just because you may have had a bad consequence doesn't mean you can't recover. But if you're not even trying to recover, what do you expect? I would expect more bad consequences. So we have a lot of issues with families today in the world, and women appear to be a major target for these attacks, from what I can see. I'm seeing women portrayed in movies and in films and on shows in ways I've never seen them before. In highly aggressive, warrior-like modes that really are more, attempts to try to promote, women goddesses, warrior goddesses like Diana. That's not how women are made. Women are not made to be warriors. Neither were men, by the way. But to change everything and to make us all into these fighters and to try to promote these different warrior gods in those ways, like with Wonder Woman, that's kind of what I was thinking about. They're changing the way women are viewing themselves. And that can be the most destructive thing, because even if a woman can see how her body is, if she's misled or deceived, like Eve, she'll do something that she wouldn't otherwise have done. So that's why older women who've been through these things, you've experienced some of these deceptions and these problems that people bring to families, you need to help them. You see, it's one thing if I say it as a man, and I do believe I speak from experience and my knowledge of the scriptures, so I hope they would listen. But sometimes we need people of the same gender to talk to these people and tell them the things that are happening and that they've been through, and that if the younger women are not cautious, they're going to fall into. And it's not so much only trying to train them what to avoid. More than anything else today, I would say women need help learning how to love men and how to love children. I'm not seeing that a lot today. I'm not seeing a lot of women loving men and loving children like I used to. I used to see it more. I think I used to see it more. Or it's just something I'm noticing more today in ways I didn't before. Either way, it's something I see. I'm seeing the degradation of women. I'm seeing the lack of love towards children. And I'm seeing similar problems with men too, but I'll get to those in a separate text. And we've talked a little bit about some of the things older and younger men need to do. But the women today are a serious problem. They're a serious problem, at least where I am. And from what I can see in many other places too. And it's because they're not being taught what's good. We need you older Christian women and all of you Christian women to stand up now and help these young women. Help these children. Help your man. And then everybody's going to help you. And now we're working together as a beautiful family. So that's the goal. Anyway, I'm concerned a lot, of course, about women today and children, because they're directly, they're part of my life, and also I see them being targeted. And I see men being targeted too, but maybe I just think we have to deal with it, and I know women and children do too, but I just feel a little sad about the difficulties I see them having to face. But we all have to do it, so we need to be strong. In any case, I hope this text helped you. If nothing else, you women, remember what's going on. This is not new, but it is new in a sense that it's different today. But we've been having these same problems for a long time. So try to help people. Help them have a simple view of life. Keep your eyes simple. There's nothing out there. Yeah, there's jobs, there's money, you can have pleasure, but at the end of the day, your goal is going to be to want to have a home, a family, and people whom you can love and who love you. You're not going to find that out there in the corporate world or running the race to see who can get to the top. I mean, you might meet some relationships, but they'll be in the context of that corporate competition. And it's very difficult to bring that competitive spirit into a family unit and maintain it. So do your best. We can all succeed even if we make mistakes and fail at times, so don't become disheartened. But if you see younger women especially struggling on how to grow and love men and children, help them, especially if you're a woman who knows what they're going through. All right, that's a good way to start out today. Thank you for listening to me talk a little bit more about some of our family and social issues, because I think, like you, I'm concerned about the things that I see. I see our children especially, and women, going through extreme trial and difficulty because of being targeted. And I see it because they're being targeted, in my view, by advertising, by corporations, by individuals, and by religious groups. Because as we've read also in the letters to Timothy, there are people who will take advantage of weak women. They'll get into their homes, pretend they're nice people, and they'll take everything they have. So women need to be very careful about certain men who lie and deceive as well. We know that. All right, so keep these texts in mind and consider how you can fulfill them to the best of your ability. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. We're still going through Titus. Tomorrow's Thursday, and then this Saturday we do have a CW Jaw Talk show, number 10. And I'm not quite sure yet exactly what I'm going to talk about. I have a few ideas, but I'm still thinking. So by tomorrow I will decide. If you have a suggestion, think about it, and I'll ask the day text group tomorrow what you think, and then we'll make a decision. But we'll do Titus again tomorrow, so keep today's text in mind, and until then, may Jah bless you in Jesus' name. Thank you.